Hey everyone, welcome to the latest eye care marketing segment of the Eye Care Marketing, Innovation, and Impact with my special guest, Mike Jones. I'm your host, Dr. Sandy Eveleth, and whether you're live with us today or watching during the replay, we would love to hear from you. Please drop us a note or question in the comments about the topic, or simply let us know how you're doing. So on with the show. As CEO of Beep2B, love the name, Mike Jones has made it his mission to help as many people as possible be productive in their LinkedIn marketing efforts, giving them the freedom to do the things that really bring value and joy to their businesses and their lives in general. He achieves this by delivering effective tactics, training, and technology to world-class businesses so they can efficiently build business relationships built on trust, which in turn creates opportunities their competitors can only dream of. When he's not helping clients excel in social selling, what brings him joy is spending time with his family and testing the limits of his mind and body by training for ultra marathons. Wow, Mike. Oh my gosh. I first saw you on LinkedIn, took your amazing course on growing your business with LinkedIn events, and I'm just getting started with doing that, and reached out to connect. I got to tell you, you were incredibly responsive to both my connection request and to me sending you direct messages. I really appreciate that. I was also so you're just amazing. I was so impressed with what you taught, how you taught, and that your material could be implemented immediately. I know that for the most part, you teach what we call B2B or business to business, again, part of your name, marketing strategies on LinkedIn. But when I owned my private practice, I actually got more patients from LinkedIn than any other platform combined. So we're going to talk about that. And first of all, your company's name. Please tell us how you came up with that.
Well, a long time ago, I realized I was trying to teach people kind of these concepts around social media and social selling and all this kind of thing. We came up with this idea we called the BEEP method. And it's an acronym, and it's so the B stands for build. You got to kind of connect with people and build this network, but then you got to engage with them. So that's the E. And then you got to educate them and make friends with them. So that's the other E. And finally, you get to promote some stuff to them as well because you kind of earn the right. So
Cool.
that was our BEEP method. And of course, we do work mostly with B2B kind of people. So it's just a play on the name, trying to be cute with our training program there in the
I love it.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that it was an acronym. That's cool. I love it. Oh, that's perfect. So I'm going to be a little selfish here, and I'd love for you to talk about how you help companies like mine that are B2B businesses. I help optometrists market their specialties, and you wrote a great post, promoting this live event, which is really cool. But I do like to help them market their specialties to attract more premium patients, as well as helping other eye care industry leaders understand their ideal optometry clients. So either for someone like me who is doing B2B, or someone that might be in the eye care industry that has a business, or another optometrist that may have a B2B, side gig, what would you tell me? What are some high level things that how you work with us, and what kind of advice you would give us?
Absolutely. Well, I think the first thing to really think about is whether you want to call it B2B or B2C or whatever, it's people to people. We're on social media. This, I think people often forget, especially with LinkedIn, that, it's kind of this business platform and people are recruiting and people are selling and all this kind of thing. But when it all boils down to it, it's social media. And really what we as humans are interested in is, know, like, and trust. Can I trust this person? Are they going to try and rip me off? Do I like them? Et cetera, et cetera. And so I think that's why, as we mentioned kind of backstage before we started streaming, I see other similarities in dentistry, for example, is another example where I've met people that have absolutely crushed it on LinkedIn, despite, conventional wisdom might be, oh no, that's just a business platform. There'd be nobody on there who would be interested. And yet they are. And nearly always the reason for that is because they figured out how to build those relationships. LinkedIn is really just business networking on steroids. And if that's your focus, I think, then you're going to do just fine. I think if what you're doing is just going out there and posting ads into your feed for your latest whatever it is, you're probably going to struggle. That's the reality of it. However, if you're already building relationships with people, they're going to go check your profile out. They're going to read your posts. They're going to see the insights that you've got. And so it doesn't really matter what problem it is you're solving, whether it's figuring out how to do something B2B or just, help somebody with their eye care. It's the same thing. It's exactly the same thing.
Go ahead. So
yeah,
how do you coach people then? If, let's go to the optometrist. So optometrist or dentist comes to you, and my thing is that I love to have them promote their specialties. It's in the subspecialties where they really get to patients that have serious problems that other eye doctors were never able to solve, so they can become the hero. If as a practicing optometrist, if I came to you and said, hey, Mike, what would you recommend for me to do for me? Because I'm in a local market. I don't need to be global. I just need to be local. What kind of things would you tell me as a practicing optometrist to get more patients into those kind of, specialties?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, again, I'll pull on the beep method because that's kind of the model that we use for this stuff. The first thing I would say is you got to build up a network of people in that geographic region that are potentially going to be prospects themselves, but more importantly, I think, are going to be good people to network with. So, there's people that if you did go to the charity ball or whatever, and they're the people that are connected to everybody and know everybody, and they always seem to have a referral for anything, and really that's the power of this stuff. I think the reality of it is if you've got a very, very specific problem with something like eye care, for example, you're never going to hit that by just connecting with lots of people and saying, hey, do you have this problem? Would you like, it's just not going to happen. The numbers would never work out. So what you've got to do is just position yourself as that truly credible person in the community who can solve stuff, problems with eyes. Because the reality of it is most of your advocates, most of those people who you connect with and network with, they're not going to be able to really explain in detail or pitch your services or products because they're not doctors. They don't really understand it. At a very low level, they're just going to be like, you should go talk to Dr. Sandy. She I see all these reviews. She seems to cure everybody's eye problems. If you've got an eye problem, you should at least go talk to her. And I think that's really where you're going to start to win that kind of consumer business purely because you build up that reputation. And the way to do that is by, first of all, connecting with those people in your network. So to give you an example of how I might go about doing that, I would certainly lean into Sales Navigator. That would be one of the first tips that I would put out there. And the reason I say that is, aside from everything else you can do on Sales Navigator, it's good. It's all about the searches, and you just cannot figure out searches the same on even LinkedIn Premium. A lot of those filters, when good old Microsoft took over, it seems a lot of the good stuff kind of made its way into Sales Navigator subscription, which isn't that much more expensive anyway. So in the grand scheme of things, it's $20-30 a month more, but you're going to get so much more accurate on the targeting. And so especially if you are geographically limited, trying to do that and target effectively via standard LinkedIn is going to be really tough. It just isn't that good for it. You're going to get a lot of mismatched stuff in there. So first of all, you can do that, but then you can really start to get interesting outcomes when you look at, have they posted in the last 30 days? Are they active? What groups are they in? So you can really start to build quite targeted searches as you understand your customers that are going to be potentially the right people. And especially if you're going in with the mindset of actually, maybe I'm not going to find, it's like a needle in a haystack to find a patient, but to find somebody who could refer me to patients is going to be way easier. And so that's what I would be looking. I would be looking for the guys who are super active in the BNI networks, or that, all of those kinds of people that are out there, and just thinking out of the box a little bit to find those people who are just super active. And you can look at their profiles, you can look at how many connections they've got, and so on and so forth. Like, if I could make good friends with that guy, if anybody mentions they've got an eye problem, that they'll be making that referral every single time.
Right. And the interesting thing is, I talk about this, I'm sure you've heard the phrase Dream 100. It's what you're talking about. Think about those referral sources. In our industry, we have certain referral sources that we go to all the time, but I talk about that. There's a lot of these little secret referral sources that you don't realize. There's something in our industry called vision therapy, where patients may not do well, students may not do well in school, they struggle. they see 20/20 perfect vision, but there's something else going on, visual processing and other things. And this subspecialty or specialty vision therapy can actually treat that and take a D student to an A student within 3 or 4 months. So, I've come up with different referral sources that you can actually find that are untapped, that most optometry practices either don't think about or they don't really need them because they're not specializing in vision therapy. So for some of the audience out there, they may not realize what Sales Navigator is, but it's a premium subscription to be able to enhance that search ability. But it also has those other features of having be able to tell who has posted, like you said recently, and also you can get email whenever you'll get notified by LinkedIn whenever one of those connections or saved prospects do something new, whether they post on LinkedIn or they change jobs or something happens. So it's kind of like using LinkedIn as an online BNI, but you can also go looking for those people that are inside of BNI, which is awesome. So absolutely a great idea.
Yeah, I think that the leading on from that, and again leading into the BEAT method, it's about keeping engaged with those people and educating them, because as I said, that it's going to be rare that you meet one of those kind of out of the box referral sources that really understands what the heck you guys can do. And so there really is that. Without I don't think you can get into the weeds in the medical details and the science of everything, because again they're just going to go straight over their heads. But I think if you're very strategic in your content strategy, you can get that message to them. And certainly, and again, without any breaking any patient confidentialities or any issues like that. So, if you can find those wins where you have helped the kid get from a D to an A or whatever, what a wonderful thing to be sharing on LinkedIn. It feeds so nicely the fact that we love that human interaction. We love those wins for humanity. People are going to want to share that stuff. People are going to want to engage with that stuff. But equally, those people who you can then be proactively connecting with to try and foster those referral sources are going to be like, wow, I don't really know what they did, but my goodness, they helped this kid improve their grades.
Right.
Like, who knew that was a thing? And so very quickly that can get an awful lot of traction. And as we've seen, if you're hitting the algorithm right with LinkedIn in terms of that feed content, it gets astronomical. It truly does get astronomical. 10, 15, 20,000 views in the feed is very, very doable. That's a lot of eyeballs. That's a lot of publicity for just kind of sharing some stuff that's fairly easy to create as well. So I'm very mindful, I think, with all of this stuff that if you're not careful, LinkedIn can become a job in its own right. And
yes.
I hang out with a few of the gurus I know, and people, kind of live them as obviously I do spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, just the nature of the beast. It's easy, I think, for us guys to forget that actually that isn't everybody's business. And I'm only on there all that time because it is my business. And so I think you've got to be careful with all of this stuff as well, though, and just being productive. You've got other things to do in life. And so it's about being efficient with that. And I think that's a great strategy to achieve efficiency.
Right. Well, and I think too, because most optometrists don't think LinkedIn is the place where they can find prospective patients, how easy would it be to, even if you're just spending an hour a week doing that kind of work, you're still going to be ahead of the game. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about, I really like that. I didn't use the method the way it's supposed to be used. And I'll probably hire you to coach me to do some of that stuff, but you have a great method. It's what I learned about using LinkedIn events that you really think that's a hot topic right now. And again, I can use an example where an optometrist may be running some seminars to get into the community, let them know, they've already gotten some referrals. They've already gotten people to find out that, you specialize in this thing that can help people that struggle with reading. It may even be people that are misdiagnosed with ADHD. So now I hear or see you on LinkedIn, because we've connected, that you're running an event that talks about, you're going to do a half-hour discussion on how you can help, or just present the problem. Maybe they're unaware, or they're just problem aware. They're not yet solution aware or product aware yet. So go ahead and educate us on how an optometrist would set up a LinkedIn event. Just sort of the overarching way that they could do that.
By all means, and because it really truly is right now my favorite strategy. It's we're doing a ton of work around that. Excuse me. First things first, you need to do it from your company page. So if you don't have a company page on LinkedIn, you need to go ahead and create one. And in days gone by, I would, if people are like, hey, what do I do with a company page? Nobody seems to ever see the content or whatever. We traditionally, the company page were only really useful if you had a big budget for paid ads and you could promote that content, because it's very difficult to get that traction on a company page. But what a LinkedIn event gives you is a brilliant source of content. Absolutely. And actually, by doing it through your company page, LinkedIn offers you the opportunity to get access to the data of the people who want to attend your event. And, LinkedIn's great and I love it to bits and we spend a lot of time on here, but truly, I really want to be moving people into my own internal database, my own CRM, as quickly as I can, because I kind of need to bank those prospects, because who knows what's going to go on LinkedIn tomorrow or whatever. And so that gives us that vehicle to do that. And there's a very specific way you do it. First of all, you've got to use the company page. So you set it up on there. And as you set it up, it actually asks, would you like to use a LinkedIn registration form? Now, a lot of people have missed that and just, we'll just send them to the live stream, wherever it might be, and hope that people will go there. Well, they won't. The problem, LinkedIn Events is brilliant as a marketing engine and as a communication engine, but it sucks terribly at actual user workflow. It's just this huge disconnect. And I understand why. I think it's because, so many people, some people doing offline events, some people are using webinar, whatever, and all these different platforms. It'd be impossible for them to cater for all. So they just don't really cater for any of them, is the reality of it. And so there's a big disconnect there. So it's really important that we get that data and then actually use it to help people understand where they need to be and when they need to be there, and so on and so forth. So we teach it really as like a funnel. We hear this idea of a funnel a lot. There really needs to be this sequence of communication around the event in order to get people to show up. But that said, you got their email address. I mean, that's a really useful thing to have in any business. And truly, I've been working with people who've, at the very high end, I'm seeing people put like literally 5,000 people on a webinar. Granted, that was a global event, literally spanning the entire. They did 2 sessions, the whole shebang. But even on a more local level, here in the UK, I'm seeing people putting 1,500 people registered onto an event that's local to just the UK. So, and I think if you are very, very, very hyper targeted in a small locality, even to pick up 200 or 300 or 400 good leads and to be able to drop them into a CRM is huge. I do a bit of Facebook stuff as well. And you could easily be paying $10 a lead on Facebook for Facebook ads all day long. So if you can pick up 200 or 300 leads, it's a few grand's worth of advertising basically for free. And you're going to get a lot of exposure beside that as well. So that's the first step is, you've got to create an event as a company. You've got to tick the box to get the data, and you've got to be prepared to take that data and then communicate with those people where they need to be, when they need to be there, why they need to show up, and so on and so forth. But with that done, really in its most simple form, you're good to go. That's the disconnect is in the communication. So as long as you address that, you're going to do just fine. You really are. And sorry, go ahead.
Well, no. So again, just to recap, and you already did a great job recapping it, is if I was going to set up an event, or if I'm a practicing optometrist, I want to go ahead and promote my vision therapy webinar that I'm going to, do next month. I would set up an event on my company page. Hopefully every optometrist has a company page for their practice. And then I would go ahead and click the, check the box that says, tell me again what that says. It actually says,
it says use, I can't remember the exact verbiage, but it's along the lines of use a LinkedIn registration form. And what it allows them to do is just use their profile information instead of having to type anything. So it's super easy for the end.
So
well.
So every so often, then the optometrist will go ahead and download the new emails, or wait till near the end, and or maybe a week or two in advance, because you want to use those emails, because the event is not going to be like I did. That's where I went wrong. But we're not going to really necessarily do a live stream anywhere. Or if we are, it's going to be on our own platform. It's going to be either on a website or on a funnel somewhere, where that link is going to be told to the participants that signed up for the event. They're going to get some emails, or maybe even you have asked them to sign up with a text in another email or something. So they're going to keep getting notified by the optometrist. Don't forget, the event's in a week, the event's in 3 days, the event's tomorrow, the event's today. And then they're going to be given a specific link that takes them off of LinkedIn and onto, like I said, a platform that's going to now show that live event, whether it's, it'll be a webinar. And then you've got that list that you can now market to afterwards, and just tell them if there are any events coming up, or if they need more information about this specialty, etc. And again, let me know if I've missed anything.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's you've got it absolutely. And I mean, just to layer on top of that, what that process gives us the opportunity to do is, I call it pre-friending. It gives us that opportunity even before the event to make an impact on those people, maybe add some value, maybe give them some insight. And so, for example, in a recent event we did, I just literally hopped on a Zoom call by myself and hit record. Super, you don't need all this fancy equipment that we've got. I was just in a rush. I just did that one thing, and I was just like, hey, this, here's the information. Here's some other stuff that's going to make sense, about the event, about the stuff I'm going to be talking on about the event. There's some other information as a supplement to what I'm already going to teach you on there. So I actually went out of my way to deliver some value way before they even turned up to the event. And of course, I could post that on LinkedIn and share that on LinkedIn as well. But what that serves to do is, all those guys who I'm busy now, maybe I can't make it or whatever, that encourages them to turn up. So you do still get a reasonable show-up rate, but also it gives me an opportunity to actually build rapport with people even before they get onto the presentation, which is, super powerful.
Sure, absolutely. No, that's fantastic. I love it. And again, if I had done it right, I would have taken everybody off onto a different place. But no, I love that idea. Now, why do you think that the events are something that's now really popular? I mean, because I know we go through cycles, and sometimes it's groups and sometimes it's something else. But what's your thought process on how that is the case? Or is it just because you've tried it, because you're in it all day long? This is your specialty, LinkedIn.
Yeah, I think, I mean, it will diminish in its success rates, I'm sure, just as groups come and go, and I'm sure events will come and go as well. As a matter of fact, the events feature was first launched about 10 years ago. And it was around for a little while. Nobody really used it, and they kind of canned it, and then they brought it back at the back end of 2019. One thing that is worth noting is just how much effort LinkedIn has put into this feature. It's in your feed, it's in your notifications, it's in your inbox, it's in your company page, it's in the searches, it's everywhere. And just, speaking as a software developer, that'll cost them a ton of money to do that roll out a feature of that scale. So that tells me that they're kind of in it. They've got their cards on the table. They're going for it, and they've invested heavily. I think the issue is very, very few people are using it, and certainly, I imagine even less people in the eye care.
Sure.
So there's this huge opportunity. We did some maths and some research for our presentation that we did recently, and I think it's like 1 in 70,000 or so. There was 70,000 events listed globally on every subject imaginable.
Wow.
And that was, there's 600 million users. I can't remember what the percentage was, but it's a very small one, needless to say. And so, I think one, it's underserved and it's underused, but two, LinkedIn are very keen to make a success of it. So, when we're using the event, we are seeing it pop up in the feed. We are seeing it being promoted by email. We are seeing it being promoted through notifications in app and that kind of thing. Well, that's priceless. I mean, I don't know, if you've ever tried buying LinkedIn ads, they ain't cheap. You spend a lot of money on them babies pretty quickly. And yet here we are. All I need to do is put up an event for free, and LinkedIn will email a whole bunch of people for me. I don't need to do anything. So that's really
Wow.
exciting because it's just so underserved. And I think with that investment, will it be around in 3 years' time? Probably not, if I'm being honest. But certainly, we're going to get a good year, maybe 18 months of opportunity. And hey, if you're just trying to establish a practice or grow a practice, if you could attract another 1,000 leads or 2,000 leads into your database in that time, I would say that would be worth it. You're going to be able to make money there.
Oh, absolutely. Especially where in the specialty arena, the lifetime value of a patient can be anywhere from $2,000 to $10,000. So again, expending a little bit of time to do that certainly is worthwhile. That's awesome. And again, in 3 years, who knows? Maybe we'll be talking about audio and and all of that.
There'll be something else. There always is.
It'll be something else. Absolutely. So again, if you were going to take on a client that is an optometrist under your wing, so that they're B2B for you, but it would be B2C for them, what's the process? What would they do? What would they need to do?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing is, it would be a case of we can, we need to make sure we're working with the right people, I suppose, is the right way to phrase that. Not that we're massively picky, but you've got to be ready for it. And I think it's very easy to look to LinkedIn as just a lead gen, and that isn't the right way of doing it. And we struggle to work with people who are just looking for that, because truly, if all you want is a lead gen strategy, you need to be buying some ads. Most likely, it's probably going to be a paid social media strategy, at least on social. On the other hand, if you're in a position where you can think, actually, there's a wider play here, I can build a network that's valuable beyond maybe just my eye care business, and maybe there are other things besides that as well, that just being connected to some very cool and interesting and well-connected people would be beneficial, then that's a great play in itself. And so then almost the marketing becomes a byproduct of becoming that thought leader in your area or whatever, in and being the best in your field, in your area. So yeah, we tend to like to get together with people and have a bit of a chat about, what their businesses look like, and, just make sure that it's a fit for that. Generally speaking, though, if we can work with people who are keen to build those relationships and invest time in doing that, and equally that are interested in putting some time into doing this kind of stuff, developing content. And actually, that's, going back to the event thing, is one of the things I love about it. And it just forces people to have to create content that's good. You can't fake a bad event isn't going to do you any favors. So you've got to put some effort into doing that. And I think, for so long on LinkedIn, certainly the last few years, we've really seen this uptick in people using automation badly. And by the way, I'd have a problem with automation, far from it, quite far from it. But it's the use of it badly. And by badly, I mean just not adding value. And so,
Right.
all of the technology that we've created over the years works brilliantly when you're happy to add value, when you're willing to build relationships, when you're willing to create great content. If you're not willing to do that and you just want to spam people with your ads, go buy some ads. That's the way to do it, and probably stay away from LinkedIn, because I
was going to say, and stay away from Mike.
Do us all a favor. Yeah, don't connect with me.
Right. Yeah. No, but that makes perfect. I mean, again, it's social. We talk about being social, and I absolutely agree with that value. We can't be doing that anymore. I think the market has matured, and honestly, I think too, and like you said, you've worked with dentists before that have actually crushed it on LinkedIn, and it is the same thing. I'll tell you, especially if you have a private practice, because I co-owned one for 15 years, and we lived in the community. We were only about, a couple miles away, 5 minutes away from the practice. So I think a lot of at least private practitioners or practitioners that live in the same town where they practice, they do tend to get very involved in their community. So what you're talking about absolutely is a good fit, because you want to get involved with the leaders in the community. And a lot of those leaders are CEOs, CFOs, all the C-suite, and they're on LinkedIn. And wouldn't it be great to have them as patients, of course? So I think it is a great fit for any of you optometrists out there. I think it's a great fit to at least get involved more in LinkedIn as a way to network with those that are in the community. So excellent advice. Anything else that you can think of, Mike, as a lasting
No, I
thought?
mean, I think the only thing we haven't touched on that's just worth mentioning is the ability to promote those events on LinkedIn.
Yes, tell us more.
Yeah, we should definitely
Please.
talk about that, because that's the gold right there, and it lends itself to that kind of beat method. You've got to be building and engaging with people, but so long as you're doing that, LinkedIn actually allow you to send up to 1,000 invites to your event every single week. So
Wow.
if you're starting, and we recommend, not if it was just a normal webinar, for example, you wasn't using LinkedIn, you don't really need to start the email promotion on that for maybe a week, 10 days out. On LinkedIn, you want to be 3 or 4 weeks out, because you've got all of those people that you can actually invite. And it's huge. It's that is for LinkedIn to give us their blessing to do that. And it truly, it's there, it's in their help guide. You're limited to 1,000 a week. So that's the number that they've set. Wow. I mean, especially right now, because a lot of people have been relying on sending out a bunch of invites and trying to mass connect. You can't do that anymore. You're limited to 100 there in most cases.
Right.
And that's just destroyed a lot of people's LinkedIn approach, because they were just going through this mass connect and message and just, trying to throw enough mud at the wall in the hope that something will stick.
Which probably didn't work, and that's why LinkedIn knows.
Some of it did stick. Yeah, I mean, I think some of it would stick, is that, but the damage that could do as well, all the mud that gets left on the floor and making a mess. That's the problem with that approach. Whereas with the LinkedIn event, because it's got, it's at a fixed point in time, it happens and then it's gone. LinkedIn are like, hey, use the feature, give us, there's your permission to do it. So you can really go all in with promoting, but even better than that, you can encourage friends, colleagues, other attendees to do that as well, because LinkedIn also make it very, very easy. Once you've clicked to attend an event, the next button that you see, it literally changes to invite your connections.
Right.
So you can leverage that actually to get even more reach than you could perhaps do with just your own network. And that again is massive, and why it's so successful. So I get that was the final thing I just wanted to note with regards to the events. Go crazy inviting people. That's the way to get them there and build those databases.
That's great. And again, that goes back to your point of why you want to make sure that you're connecting initially before you have the event or while you're doing the event. Keep going out there and connecting with the right people, so that when you can get to that point where you're now you're inviting those correct connections. Correct. So it's a great strategy. It is absolutely solid. And again, for my eye care industry, go do it. And even for the vendors, even for the real B2Bs, for others like me who are marketing to optometrists, it absolutely makes sense to do this. The eye care industry is a billion or multi-billion-dollar industry. So for frame companies, equipment companies, et cetera, anybody that has some value that they can add to the optometrist, have those webinars. But before that, a month before you're going to have that webinar, go ahead and make it a LinkedIn event and do exactly what Mike outlined here. So fantastic advice, and I really appreciate it, Mike, and I appreciate your time. You are a gentleman, and you are an awesome person. You are right there responding, and I know you're a busy guy, so I appreciate the time that you've taken here today to do this. So thank you so much. So reach out to Mike at beep2b.com if you would like to go ahead and work with him and ramp up that eye care practice or eye care business. He can absolutely help you. So sounds great. And with that, thanks everybody. That's a wrap. And thank you for joining us, whether you're live or on the replay. As you know, I'm your host, Dr. Sandy Eveleth, your eye care marketing OD. I'm a certified master marketer, certified digital business consultant, and I love helping eye care professionals maximize profits with specialty patients through personalized one-on-one coaching. So take care, everybody, and we will see you soon.
Thanks a lot.